So now we're going to hear from Ronda Townsend. Dr. Meese referred to her. She is our Assistant Superintendent at Seminole Public Schools, and she's been there since 2006. And like a rural school, she has many responsibilities. She's the curriculum coordinator and takes care of all activities related to that. She's also the special education coordinator. She's the federal programs compliance oversight, and she has the other duties that include parental outreach and as they are assigned. I'm sure many of you can appreciate that. Before she was at Seminole, she was at the Oklahoma Department of Education in the Office of Accountability and Assessments, and she worked with the Oklahoma State Testing Program. And part of her responsibilities before that was being the liaison with the NAEP testing, and that would have been very interesting. I'd love to catch her time a little later and talk about that. In addition, she's been a classroom teacher, and she also worked at IBM for a while. So Ronda really brings us a broad range of experiences from IBM, Public Schools, State Department, and most relevant to this webinar discussion is practical experiences in rural schools. Ronda?
Hello, how is everybody today? I hope that things are finding you well, and want to take the time to tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity to collaborate with those with deep understanding of the challenges that we in rural schools face today. I would like for you to look at this slide and tell you something about where we're located. We are in East Central Oklahoma, approximately 65 miles southeast of Oklahoma City and 10 miles south of I-40. If you know anything about our great state of Oklahoma, you'll know that we have two major interstates that run through Oklahoma. One is I-40 and the other is I-35. And we are divided north, south, east, west along those lines. In our community, we have multiple Native American Indian tribes, and but predominantly the Seminole Nation is our most influential of all the tribes in the area. We have three major employers in Seminole. One is Wrangler, which is VF Jeanswear, a clothing distribution center. We have Blue Wave, which is a boat manufacturing company, and Sigma, which is a meat processing company here in the area. We're also very blessed to have multiple businesses that are related to the gas and oil industry. That has been a major component in the past. It's not quite as affluent as it has been in years gone by. We also have the Jasmine Moran Children's Museum, which is a world-class hands-on children's museum right here in Seminole, Oklahoma, and we're very proud of that. As far as post-secondary education goes, we also have within our community, just about three miles from the high school, the Seminole State College, and we have about 20 miles from here is the Gordon Cooper Technology Center in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and they just in 2011 opened a satellite campus here in Seminole. That is giving us a lot of opportunities that we are pleased to participate in. Before 2010, our district was 16 square miles. We are surrounded by 5 of the other 10 districts in the county, and so we feel at times have felt like an island with nowhere to grow. But in 2010, we annexed a neighboring district, and that brought about 80 students into our school system. But it grew us from that 16 square miles to 54 square miles. So we have opportunity to grow in another direction now, and we hope that will happen. That's kind of our goal for that. We have 6 main campuses here in Seminole. We are pre-K through grade 12. Our demographic, and I will make a change to this as we're speaking. When I did these statistics, we had 50% of our student population was listed as white, 32% as American Indian, 6% Black, 4% Hispanic, and less than 1% Asian and Pacific Islander. Just today, I was working on some of our federal programs for Title VII, which is Indian Ed, and found that our demographic has changed just a little. We are now sitting at 37% Native American. We are a Title I school-wide district, and when Dr. Meese has spoken in her presentation about small town schools, when you look at that second bullet here on this page, you see that in 1996, 48% of our students qualified for free and reduced price meals. I was teaching there during that time and, experienced what that was. I was here in Seminole as a teacher. But in 2012, more than 70% of our students qualified for free and reduced price meals. That's a significant change. And in Dr. Meese's presentation, she said that, whenever she listed small towns and their poverty rates, we actually are exceeding the small town poverty status. So that's, I think hers was 16 to 51% poverty. And we know that if our high school students would fill out the paperwork, that we would probably be at about 75 to 78% in terms of free and reduced price meals for students. Some of those families are very reluctant when the students get to the high school age to fill out the paperwork and get that turned in. I don't know. I'm not sure why that is. We've never been able to quite get to the bottom of it. I have my own suspicions, but I'm sure many of you do too. We are very blessed with a dedicated school board and faculty. Everyone has been working really hard since 2010 here to prepare our teachers and our students for the Common Core state standards. We began that work with unwrapping standards, with working across the entire district, looking at rigor and what needs to be addressed, what does rigor look like in our schools, and what does it look like in other schools? Are we able to do the same kind of work out here in rural Seminole, Oklahoma that they're able to do in Norman, Moore, some of those other school districts that are larger and have many more resources than we do? How do we provide that teacher networking? If we have one person that's teaching biology courses, who do they network with? I mean, who else is there for them? They may be, in some of our rural schools, one person may be the department. And so I think that is a real challenge for our schools. Another challenge that we have going on here is that here in Oklahoma, our teachers were preparing for the PARC assessments, and that PARC is the Partnership for Readiness of College and Careers. And just this past session, the Oklahoma State Department of Education and the State Board of Education decided that we would no longer use PARC and that we would create our own assessments based on Common Core. And those would come into play beginning with the 2014-15 school year. And as many of you are very aware, I'm sure, that takes a lot of work. Typically, it's 3 years from just the, for development to get an assessment designed, developed, all of your blueprints, test specifications, item specifications in place, and then to field test and come back to the table and make whatever adjustments need to be made. And we just learned this last year that this test is supposed to be ready in 2014-15. Our teachers have some perception issues with that. They feel like that there has been limited communication about this, and are they ready? So there is a lot of uncertainty amongst our administrators and teachers. We're not sure what the targets are supposed to be. We're constantly trying to put out fires of frustration. Those are certainly issues for us. We have a high need for quality professional development to prepare our teachers for these tests and for a pretty new A through F report card. That A through F report card has taken the place of our old system for reporting to parents and legislators across our state. The calculations of this are very complex, and we need lots of technical assistance. There also is uncertainty of how the test results are going to be used with our new Oklahoma Teacher Leader Effectiveness Evaluations. Within that, there's something called other academic measures that a committee was supposed to determine how you assess or how you look at all teachers and come up with a quantitative measure for teachers, whether they be music teachers or PE teachers or something, teaching a content that is not tested, and have fairness in that. And this year that has been turned back over to the teachers themselves along with their administrators, and now we're told that we have to come up with a way to do that. So there are real concerns about how schools out here are going to be able to implement those, and do we have the resources that are necessary to make that fair for everyone involved. So, but with that, we know that great challenges bring great opportunities, and we've just looked at that as, what kind of solutions can we find? How do we address these things? And we have been working with our local school board, our teachers, our parents, other people in the community, and we've been sharing information through the use of board updates. We have a parent-teacher organization that has been recently revitalized. We constantly work with all of our civic organizations, our alumni. Dr. Meese mentioned in her presentation the unique assets of rural high schools, and one of those was a close community school relationship. We are steeped in a tradition of excellence here in Seminole, and the other thing was a greater sense of belonging. And many of our former students have been successful. They have a great sense of pride, not only in athletics, but also in our academics. Things that have been resting for the last few years, we have just decided, let's just take this on, let's run with it, let's wake this up, let's get more people involved. We understand the importance of having our community involved in our school. The school is the nucleus in this community. What Dr. Meese's presentation showed to me was that I'm out here living what she was talking about. Our school is living the challenges that she addressed and identified in the research. We also, our district superintendent and myself as well, we're both working with state committees and boards. We work to inform state officials of the practical challenges and needs that we have out here. And one of the greatest of those is funding. And one of the ways that we do that is that we make sure that we are connected with people such as CEDL, the Rural School Research Alliance, to learn what are the best, what does research say, and what are the best practices that we can put into place to benefit students. Our superintendent works with the Governor's Council and Education Workforce. We know that we have challenges that are embedded in the current A through F report card and the teacher leader effectiveness evaluation system. We have those other academic measures. But again, we continue just to work and to plow through this, try to keep our teachers focused as best we can on the students that they're teaching, and making sure that they are identifying the levels of rigor that need to be taught. We have been partnering with Seminole State College to enable those students that qualify based on either some sort of placement activity such as ACT scores or their grades to attend college early and receive that high school credit as well as college credit. So we're doing the dual enrollment. The importance of this is that without that ability to do that, and I'm not sure that all of these kids would step foot inside of a college. I'm not sure that they have the family support that is necessary to help them navigate those situations and those settings. It is important for us to work with those tribal officials. If you have 30% of your student population that is Native American, you must have partnerships with all of those tribes. And again, our predominant tribal affiliations here just happen to be the Seminole Nation. We just recently completed a NASA grant that was entitled Engaging Native American Students in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and how to help our teachers engage those students to reach a higher level of rigor in their instruction, how to let them know how important it is for them to go to college, and that they can have success, and that they can be a part of that, and that there is life after high school in Seminole, Oklahoma, that there are things for them to do, and they can aspire to greatness, and that they have those resources at their fingertips, and we just have to continue to offer those things to them. Let our families of Native American students help us with visiting with their families, talking to their students, helping us to communicate with their culture in ways that are positive and not always negative. Those are some of the things that we are working so hard to do. We're looking at Gordon Cooper. You know, our partnerships supply preparatory activities during high school for those post-secondary college and careers. So that's what some of the things that we've been doing as far as solutions in that area. The other thing that we're doing is we're looking at our resources. How do we look at our local budgets, our state and federal funds, and maximize the ability to provide quality services to these kids? How do we know that we're using all of those areas to benefit students the most? We promote education in the community by administrators, teachers, and parents that are working together. I mentioned earlier that we have a revitalized parent-teacher organization just in the last year and a half, and they are making an impact. They have hit Facebook, they're on Twitter, and they are promoting. They put pictures of our kids, whether, you know, whatever they're doing, whatever activities are going on at the high school, we're seeing it plastered on Facebook. And all kids, all parents seem to be there. If they can't do anything else, they can, you know, they can get on that social media. We're looking for grant opportunities in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We look at our Title I funding, which is the Reading and Math Initiative that was put in place under Lyndon Johnson's administration for poor kids in rural America. Title II, which is professional development, federal professional development or professional development monies for administrators and teachers. We are a rural low-income school, so that allows us to use those funds in a different way that we can continue with sustained professional development that is systemic. And, you know, if I go away or if the current superintendent walks away, the things that we're doing are good enough that they stand long after we're gone. Looking at our Native American money that we receive through Title VI, we want to make sure that we are doing things that can be sustained. We promote amongst our teachers and administrators professional learning communities. not only within our district, but we are now working, there's a nonprofit here in Oklahoma called ALCA. It's Aurora Learning Communities Association, and they also work with CEDL, and we're looking at how we can connect teachers in rural Oklahoma as well as with teachers in our urban suburban areas to have PLCs that can go out electronically and get these teachers connected, and so that we can begin to share our resources across the state and even beyond the state of Oklahoma. We're also looking to evaluate and align our teacher talent to best meet student needs. Too often what I see or have seen in the past is that it appeared that the talent in a high school might have the very best teachers teaching the upper, classes like calculus and those sorts of mathematical things, when really their skills were so great and they had such great knowledge in the area of mathematics that maybe we need to be less concerned about the adults in the room and more concerned about the students in the room. And so we've made some changes. Wasn't always popular, hasn't been popular, but it's working in our faculty. So we have moved some of those teachers that were teaching those higher level classes into some of the lower level classes such as Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and we're seeing improvement there. So we're very thankful about that. We also highlight teachers that systematically use their data resources to inform instructional decisions. Like I said, we know that we have great challenges, but we also know that that opens doors of opportunities. It gives us the opportunity to collaborate, and for that we are truly thankful. And just in a snapshot, we know that more students are attending colleges because of our dual enrollment and having Seminole State College right here in the community. Most of our students are first-generation college students. That has not always been as prevalent as it is now. That is a change. Seminole schools we collaborate with our community partners to provide support to students so they are successful in those post-secondary institutions, whether it be the businesses, the industries, career tech, colleges, universities. We know that, as Dr. Meese implied, those close community school relationships are important. We have a great sense of belonging in what we here in Seminole call tradition, and we are proud of that, and we are leaning on that heavily to bring improvement to our school. So with that, if anyone has any questions, then I'd be glad to entertain those.
Thank you, Rhonda. We really appreciate your real practical examples of how Seminole addresses some of the challenges in rural schools. And everyone, keep typing in your questions. And we're going to go ahead and move to Debbie Crawford, and we will take all of the questions at the end, okay?